Vitek here with Wani today. With me, I have one of my favorite musicians whom I always love to have chat with, Arjen Lucassen. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, my friend. I'm fine. Thank you very much.
And with us today, I also have my buddy and partner in crime, Shivam. So we would start the interview right away by first of all congratulating you because this is the first time we're hearing a music from the Aryan project going live in front of your
It's true.
crazy,
Yes.
amazing fans. So it must be feeling really good to have fans feel the live aspect of your music.
It was an amazing experience. Really, I was so proud. I mean, that first show, the curtain opened and the cheering of the people and then all these musicians and singers doing my music. I hate to say it, but I was crying my eyes out all the time. Even I'm telling you about this now, I have like goosebumps all over.
That's good to hear because your albums are somewhat on a grander scale, which touch people on a personal level. And when you talk about playing it live, you just can't pick a song and play. It has to be in a sequence because you just cannot
True.
enjoy a single song even if you want to. So it always has to be the full aspect of your songwriting. A single song can basically feel detached. But on a theater, it's a much different role than just playing an album in its entirety. So how was the
Right.
experience and what difficulties did you face in terms of having the entire show and the songs arranged in a sequence as in the album?
Okay, well, difficulties, plenty of difficulties.
Let's begin with that.
It was 2 years of difficulties. No, really, it's a pain in the ass to organize something like that,
Right.
logistically, and the screenplay, and getting all the singers, and arranging the theater, and just, oh my God, there was so much work, and of course, so much stuff that goes wrong,
Hmm.
and oh, it's a wonder that in the end it became what it is. And I think this is all thanks to the amazing cast. I mean,
Right.
these singers, they all, they none of them are actors, but they turned out to be great actors. Did you see the DVD or did you just hear the audio?
No, I have the DVD and we have seen it like a couple of times.
Okay, okay. Well, guys like Devin Graves, it's like holy shit, man, that guy is an actor. And really the cast I chose for that original album and for this show is just there's something magic about it. I don't know
Right.
what it is, but it just works.
Absolutely, and obviously with such an experience of having these musicians on stage, I mean they have done it all in the past as well. But a play, a theatrical aspect is something which is really great and even gives them a lot of scope to improve and express themselves. But
Right.
what happened behind? What happened in the backstage when this was happening?
I was running around like a weird chicken backstage. Really, I was like so nervous, and I was like every time could go on stage, hey, this and that, and they come off stage, and I would embrace them, like oh fucking great, and it was so emotional, and they were all so concentrated.
Yeah.
They all had their little corner backstage, and they
Hmm.
would disappear into their corner and read their stuff because it's a lot to remember for them, and only a few weeks of rehearsals. I mean, you have to get up here, you have to get on stage there, get off stage there, then you have to move there, you have to walk down the
Right.
stairs, and you have to remember your lyrics, and you have to sing in tune, and you have to interact with each other.
Hmm.
So I think for some of them it was more, they bit off more than they could chew. They were like, "Oh my God, is it that complicated?"
Definitely.
Seeing the whole screenplay and stuff.
When you guys had the final copy of it, I mean, let's say when they were watching, I'm sure they would have been like, "How the hell did I do this?" Like,
Oh yeah, yeah, but that's what the first thing. If you see the behind the scenes, that's the first thing James said. Like, how the hell did we do this? And there were points where James was like getting very scared. Like I can't do this. This is too much. He
much.
has to be on stage all the time and has to remember everything.
Right.
And to make matters worse, his mother died
Hmm.
while we were rehearsing.
Oh,
And at a couple of points in the show, he has to talk to his mother, who dies in the story.
oh,
So it was an emotional thing, but
Absolutely, I
He
can
he is
imagine.
he is such a professional, man. This guy,
Indeed.
so concentrated and so yeah. Hats off to that guy.
Absolutely, man. And I always wondered what made you do a theater version of this album. I mean, you have Into the Electric Castle, you have, the Zero One album. Why specifically you chose Human Equation?
Uh, all the other albums, like you mentioned, there are big sci-fi
Right.
stuff. How are you going to do that on the stage?
Mm-hmm.
When I thought, basically, when I thought, okay, when you do a theater production, the Human Equation is by far the easiest to do
Okay.
because it's about a guy in a coma who's being confronted with his emotions,
Right.
and his wife and his best friend are sitting at his bed. So you don't need that many props and you don't need that many effects, and it's all about emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's by far the easiest one to do. If you would do the Electric Castle, you would need a castle hall, and you would
Yeah.
need a rainbow bridge, and you would need a mirror maze, and you would need all these effects, and you would have to dress up people in Roman and
True.
Egyptian outfits and shit, and it would be very, very complicated.
Absolutely, that's good to hear that. And also, the instrumental side of the DVD was really cool. I wondered who was the guy who, arranged this entire play, and also the director who was, definitely been a
Hmm.
pain in the ass for him to plan
Yeah.
everything.
Yes, well, the music was all done by Joost van der Broek,
Mm-hmm.
the keyboard player.
Mm-hmm.
He did an amazing job because the as you have seen, there was cello, violin,
Yes.
flute, all that stuff was on stage, and they don't have that much to do on the album. And here he had to make arrangements for them in every song, so they wouldn't have to go on and off stage.
Absolutely, that's
So
good to hear.
yeah, Joost did an amazing job with the music, and he coached the whole band, and he rehearsed with them, and he wrote out all the music and stuff.
Awesome.
So yeah, all kudos to him. He worked on this for a year, I think, and did an amazing job.
Wow, that's a lot of time. That's good to hear.
Taking Human Equation onto a stage must have been a really hard task. And so, how was the stage setup, and what were you like? How was your idea behind setting up the stage?
Um, well, it's yeah, it was very hard to come up with something that would be interesting, because it's a guy in a coma being confronted by his emotions. So what are you gonna do there? A lot of thinking went into this, and I think the whole production took about 2 years. So it was 2 years of rehearsals, and we rented this big hall where we rehearsed. Um, and the good thing was we had these understudies, and they were all from the choir, and they performed the parts of all the singers, which was great because when finally at the end the real singers came, the understudies, they could tell them exactly what to do. So yeah, it was much more work than we expected. A lot of time goes into something like this.
Right. Devin Townsend and Mikael Akerfeldt was the original cast of the album, and
Yeah.
they were missing on this.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, we understand they must have been busy, but why didn't you play with them?
Well, Mikael Akerfeldt, we asked him, of course, and basically he was interested. But I think he was being polite because I cannot see Mikael Akerfeldt, you know, acting and being on stage in stage clothes and stuff like that. I can't see it. He's this funny guy in Opeth who's on stage in his jeans and a t-shirt, cracking jokes, and I really can't see him do something like this. Uh, so yeah, he said no. Well, Devin Townsend, he's Devin Townsend. He's a crazy guy. He only does his own shit. He doesn't do other people's stuff. So we didn't even ask him. We were sure he would say like, no, 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 no. I only do my own stuff. So yeah, unfortunately these two couldn't be there. So what are you gonna do? Are you gonna get people who are like them but just not good enough, or are you gonna get people who are completely different? And I thought let's get completely different. can't get Mikael Akerfeldt, I'm not going to look for someone who is like Mikael Akerfeldt but not as good. I'm going to look for someone who is completely different. So firstly, okay, no Mikael Akerfeldt, let's get a woman. And yeah, I think that's the best thing, because then people can't compare. It's like a completely different part, a completely different person, and whatever, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Whatever you do, people are gonna complain. Like, hey, this is not Devin, and the guy is not as good, and you're gonna get that anyway. So you better choose the best musicians in the world, like Anneke and Mike Mills, who did these parts. Yeah, to take over.
So do you think Anike was the right choice to replace Mikael Akerfeldt?
Well, I made all those choices, and I wouldn't know who else could have done it.
I have seen you live with Anike playing the Gentle Storm parts, and I know you seem really chilled out on stage when you hold your guitar and play. I'm sure you can make it happen.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I was puking, really, because Arneke started those shows. And I had to wait for half an hour in the dressing room.
Oh, man.
And she was so great on stage, and I was thinking like, oh, now I'm gonna go on stage and I'm gonna ruin it all, And I was in the toilet like 11 times, and then I'm on stage, and all I'm thinking about is what's the next chord? What's the next chord? And will I remember the next line? What's the next line from the lyrics? And it's awful. It's awful, and I did it because Anneke asked me, and because Anneke is one of the best in the world.
Absolutely.
But and I know I look relaxed, and basically that is because I see all these happy faces of the fans.
Indeed.
That's great, but really I feel like a complete moron on stage. It's not something I do well.
Indeed, that's okay.
But that's the sign of a true musician, right?
No, I don't think so.
That must have been really cool, because now James with Dream Theater, especially their last album, The Astonishing, has been more theatrical. So now I feel he's much more confident because you really explored the best out of him on theater.
Maybe, yeah. He couldn't tell me at that point what they were doing, but he's already said they were doing something like that. And he is such a professional. It's incredible. It's scary almost,
I can totally imagine that. But always in my mind, I've seen you, being part of writing this great music, but also arranging all these different singers, which is really unique. But there's one person on my list, and I'm sure many would want to know as well. The only thing missing so far, I feel, is Steven Wilson.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
When are we gonna hear a collaboration of you and Steven? I mean, you guys are virtuosos and masterminds in your own field of music. So when is this gonna happen?
Unfortunately, it's not gonna happen.
Oh, why so?
Well, when he started out with Porcupine Tree, I loved it. It was still completely unknown, but I contacted him at the time, and I sent him my albums, and he sent me his albums, and we were emailing a lot. And then I asked him for the Electric Castle, and I sent him the stuff, and he said, man, this sounds amazing, and it sounds great, and it's one of the best things in this style that I ever heard. He said, but it's not my thing. It's at that time he called it too old-fashioned prog. It's just not, my music is just not his thing. Yeah, it's not his style, and well, that's his choice, of course. I mean, I find it a bit strange, because, he uses mellotrons and Hammonds and synthesizers and old stuff. So I think his stuff may even be more old-fashioned prog than my stuff. But but I'm not gonna beg. If that's his opinion, then he gets one chance, and that's it.
I totally understand that, and it's been like a long time. So as you guys have grown as musicians, and even now he's exploring the farther side of prog, I'm sure hopefully in future we get to see a collaboration, at least on one song.
Yeah. Well, it would have to come from his side.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be good to hear. Now, Arjen, we have the human equation, being play it on stage, and now you've taken good amount of time with it. Also, you spent a lot of time and on the last Ayreon album as well. Now, you don't release two albums by different projects consecutively. So now that we had a Gentle Storm album last year, and now we have Theater Equation coming this year. So what's next from your dungeon? What's cooking right now in your studio?
Well, I'm pretty far with the next project. I've written all the songs. I start recording guitars. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to talk about it yet.
Okay.
What it's gonna be, and also the thing is, I keep changing my mind as always.
All right.
Really, I start with a plan, and then let's get this singer. Okay, but then it's not this project anymore. Well, then it's that project, and so yeah, it's still taking shape. But I think it will be ready for release early next year, 2017. And yeah, damn it, I can't say too much about it. Sorry.
No problem. I can imagine that, and I'm sure it's going to be really great because this is again, you're stepping out of your Arjen zone and exploring as you've always been. So we look forward to it, and thanks for sparing some time. It's been always a great time having a chat with you. Good luck with the release, and I hope you play even more live, even though you're behind the stage. But still, it's always a challenge.
Well, it's definitely an option. It's something that's in my mind. It's also, yeah, I think I'll think of something.
Definitely. Thanks, Arjen. You have a wonderful evening ahead, and definitely someday I'll catch you on road.
Great, man.